Recent development in Nigeria's aviation sector highlights the importance of safety regulations, with the Nigerian Safety Investigations for Aviation, Rail, Maritime Sector, and the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, enforcing strict compliance with safety standards. The focus is on enhancing safety and accountability. As Nigeria is working to boost aviation safety and efficiency, let us explore the latest on Nigerian aviation regulations, their impact on industry, and what they mean for the passengers and operations. Thanks for joining us on Nigeria Today, and we'll be looking at the safety Nigerian civil aviation regulations. I'm Victoria Clinton. Now with me in the studio for the conversation is Mr. Godi Ike. He's an expert in the aviation industry. Of course, he's an aviation researcher and, of course, a publisher. He's a welcome to Nigeria Today.
Oh, thank you very much. And dear viewers, thank you.
And also with us, but via Zoom, is Mr. Michael Achimogo. He's the Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protections, NCAA. Thanks for joining us on the program. Unmute your sound, please, so that we can hear you.
Hear me? Good evening.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
I just want to start with you with a recent incident that happened, here in Abuja with Kwam1 and the Value Jet Airlines. Can you please clarify the air on that incident and, of course, give us an update of where they are right now?
Well, an unfortunate and avoidable occurrence at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport. There's enough blames to throw around, but right now the NCAA has petitioned the Inspector General of Police and the Attorney General of the Federation to prosecute the passenger involved in that incident. The license of the pilot has also been suspended pending the conclusion of investigations into the matter. In addition to this, the passenger has also been placed on a no-fly list, pending also the determination of the matter. It's not the first of its kind, but really it's one of these moments that test the system. You want to look at the entire chain of events that must have occurred from when that passenger arrived at the terminal, checked in for that flight, and went past through the boarding gates, and you want to also look at the government side of things. What went wrong? What can we make better going forward? How do we enforce better compliance among passengers, especially who seem to be obsessed with their rights but ignore their responsibilities? The investigations into this case will help us improve the system all around, holistically.
Thank you very much for that opening remark, Mr. Achimogo. Now, back to you, Godi. Talk to us. How would you? What's your own perspective on the incident on the Abuja Airport?
Very unfortunate and quite shameful. Very, very shameful. I am really amazed at how it was possible for that passenger to get to the airplane armed with bottle or flask said to be containing some liquid, be it water, be it alcohol, wherever. For all I know, right from the time you are stepping out of the waiting hall to go for your boarding, no one is permitted to cross with any bottle, flask, or whatever containing any form of liquid, whether it's water or is alcohol or whatever. Now the question you want to ask is, how was it possible for that passenger to check through all the scanning equipment, check through all the officers that are standing by and watching every passenger? How was it possible for that passenger to get to the airplane armed with that flask? There's a whole lot of people who have to answer questions. You know, this idea of we've reported to police, we've reported to Attorney General and to this and that, it's not just about the corporate, or rather, I don't want to call him corporate at the moment, you know, the passenger in question, or the pilot who, you know, moved without authorization. That's what we are reading, that you know, the pilot hadn't been instructed to taxi off when that move was made. So a whole lot of people have to explain. So let's not limit it to the you know, the two parties that you know, that are in the social media right now, talking about the Kwam1 individual and the pilot that you know, took off in a reckless manner. Okay. It's going to be a sweep. We need to find out at what, I mean, at every stage, who did his or her job and who didn't. So it's a holistic investigation that will nip in the bud forever and ever this ugly incident that took place at the airport. Because anyway, that's my opening take at the moment.
Now, Mr. Achimego, of course, Godi mentioned an issue that is very germane to this conversation. How did he get into that, you know, part of the airport with water? So, looking at the entire incident, I know the whole thing is still under investigation right now, but can you just, you know, clear the air a little bit on what were, will I say, you know, at what point was he allowed to go in with water? Because I know you can't go into the airplane with water. So how did he get to that point?
He has not said anything different from what I have said in my opening statement. I made it clear that this incident tests the system as well, and the investigations have to be holistic. That's what I said. I did ask the question from when the passenger got to the check-in counter up to the boarding area, what happened? That people are going to be questioned. That's what I said. It's taking a multi-agency collaboration to look into this issue. FAN did issue a statement, you know, and you see at this early stage, a lot of pieces are not falling into the place. The passenger initially had claimed that they got their water from the VIP lounge. If that were true, it would have meant that there was no water at the time he passed through the first scanner. That water, that liquid, let me call it liquid because he says water and FAN says alcohol, right? So, liquid. Now, if he got it from the VIP area, then it would explain why it was only at the final body check that it was discovered. And then he was told he could not board. He never boarded that flight, by the way. He was told you cannot go on board with this water, with this liquid. And that was where the issues began. Perhaps FAN AFSEC was not available at that time or not even communicated with. I do not know. I have said this severally since yesterday. If you watch the videos that went viral, there was no presence of FAN AFSEC. The question is why? So all of these issues that he has raised, we have raised as well. And nobody's here to deny anything. It's going to test the system, and everybody down the entire line who was culpable will be brought to book. It just so happens, especially on social media, that the issue of the pilot and the passenger have been the most mentioned cases. But we have been very clear about the tone of the investigations.
Okay, back to you, Godi. Now, we've seen a situation where here, this particular situation, a passenger was told, it's not like he's not been flying before, and now you know that you don't take water into the airplane, anything liquid. It doesn't matter what it is, even if you say it's water.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to take. So how will you describe the situation now? That a passenger was asked, okay, you're not supposed to go in water, and he's trying to, is that, would you say it's probably enjoying an undue privilege, or abusing power, rather?
No, is the unfortunate thing that has happened to this great nation of ours called Nigeria, where we have turned lawlessness as a way of life. I often tell anyone that bothers to listen to me, listen, lawlessness makes you weak. Your strength lies in being law-abiding. And it simply means that if a country, it's not just about individuals or citizens and visitors, and it's even the nation. If a country toys with her laws and continue to progress in deep error, this is what you find, because it just continues to degenerate until you get to ground zero. And that's where we seem to be heading with lawlessness. You see it every second of the day in every... As we were coming to the studio, we got to a traffic light, and it was red. And I was quite impressed with that driver that picked me up, Mohammed. And he stopped to obey the traffic light. I looked at him and said, oh, one of the good drivers in Nigeria. We all, smiled and laughed. But I tell you, every other vehicle that came to that light passed through were just a single car waiting for the green light. And this is what is going on all over the country, and especially in Abuja. If you know how this hurts me, if I were to lay hands on people who are doing this, a whole lot of cars will be crushed and sent for recycling. It's nonsensical what's going on. So lawlessness has become a way of life in this country, and law enforcement is also a big joke, because people look you in the eyes and say, oh, you want to go and report to police, we'll take care, and all will end, and you think it's a joke.
But it will certainly change. You agree with me? It will certainly change.
Oh, well, let's see it take off. At the moment, it's like a jumbo jet sitting on the ground. It will take the power of the jet engine and a run on the runway to gather enough wind pressure to take it up into the air. So we're still sitting. As soon as we start, the takeoff run, we will know, and everyone will know. And we'll have to start with the simple things as, traffic. It's messy, very messy. So it's lawlessness. And the gentleman felt above the law, and nobody could stop him. And that explained, why he would go and stand in front
but
of...
But certainly somebody will stop him now, because now he's been at least suspended for a while the investigation is on. And after the investigation, we know that something
and just like Michael, said a moment ago, it has to be holistic. It's not about, the man that's been accused and the pilot that, didn't behave professionally. We have to start from when he checked in, when he went through, the scanner. Of course, before you get to the sitting hall, you have a scanner there that will ensure that you don't walk in with unwanted items. So, who did that scanning? Didn't they find that flask or bottle or whatever it is?
Thank you very much, Godi. Now, Michael, back to you. As a form of enlightenment, can you talk to us of what are the do's and don'ts in the aviation sector, so that persons that feel, okay, maybe they've forgotten, you know, they'll know, because there are a lot of persons that go into the airplane, you know, they'll take their perfumes and the rest of them. They don't even know that you shouldn't go with anything liquid.
Yeah, you know, unless anybody wants to feign ignorance, the rules are clear. Nigeria statistically has travel passengers in Nigeria are mostly repeat flyers, not really new flyers per se. They know the rules. The only general reminder I can issue anyone is comply with the rules, because most of these things people do sometimes, if they were in other climes, they would comply with those rules. But, you know, it also happens elsewhere. Unruly passenger behavior is something every industry around the world deals with. We have seen videos of people running onto the tarmac in the US. Just last week, I saw a video where someone got sucked into the engine, or you know, of an aircraft somewhere, and then you'll be forced to wonder, how did he even get there too? These challenges in aviation are global in nature. The most important thing is, when these infractions have occurred, what does the system do? Is there ramifications for these actions? Passengers need to be conscious of the fact that they do not only possess rights, they have responsibilities. And just like the gentleman with you in the studio has said, there is a degree of lawlessness to these things. Nigerians, we seem to, you know, bask in disorderliness. But the regulatory authority has done a great job over the past year and a half in enforcing compliance. There is nowhere in the world where disruptions will not happen. There's nowhere where infractions will not happen. But we'll continue to do better. If, as a matter of fact, when events like this happen, it gives us the opportunity as well to also review some of our regulations, so that we can, you know, fill up the gaps that become obvious when things like this happen. I would also like to state, you know, for clarity, the NCAA does not have prosecutorial powers. So the right standard procedure is to gather evidence and petition the police and the Attorney General. That is the right procedure for us, and that is what has been done. In the case of the pilot, where the NCAA possesses the power to withdraw that license, the right thing has also been done. And so FAN, who is the owner of the airport, are doing their part. There's CCTV tapes to review, you know, NAMA, you know, and their air traffic controllers, you know, there are also questions to be asked. Did someone clear that pilot to move that aircraft at that time? All of these investigations will be done, and then the findings will be put out there.
Now back to you, Gode. How do we ensure? You just raised a lot of questions about, you know, a lot of concerns about our compliance with regulations generally. So how do we ensure there's sanity in the aviation sector? Because it's a sector you don't toy with, you don't handle with case glove.
Here's an opportunity. If you were just an ordinary individual that misbehaved at the airport, you probably would have been treated with less, you know, excuse me. It probably would have just been ignored, and the individual, you know, told how to fall in place, and he will die there. The next time another person does. Now, it appears that it's gone viral because we are dealing with a celebrity in this case, and who probably felt above the law.
No, just like what Michael said, it's not, will I say, it's not just in Nigeria. It happens globally, where you see unruly passengers, you know, passengers behaving unruly, you know. But then
more often than not, in most of this civilized world we're talking about, the people who get to do things like that, 95% of them have been found to have some mental issues. But in our own case, we're dealing with people who have sound mind and no mental issues of any sort, but ego and feeling of above the law. That's what we're dealing with. And I will give you an example of what you see all the time. A couple of times that I have traveled out of the country, I noticed that as we are, going to check into the airplane, you find people with officers who carry their bags and, pass where they shouldn't, where only passengers should have been allowed to pass through. But you see so-called assistants doing all sorts, and the gentleman or lady in question feel really above the law, and nobody is saying anything.
So how can we ensure compliance?
And we can only ensure compliance by ensuring that anybody that breaks the law in any form gets punished. Is the only deterrence that can deal with it. It has gotten to a point that nobody seems to be afraid of the law anymore in Nigeria. Every inch of the way is all lawlessness, be it in auto traffic, be it at the airport, be it in having animals, recklessly cross our roads in the heart of the city. Or you haven't seen cows everywhere. Is that the law? Why is nobody saying anything? Why can't we organize our nation and have,
Now, let's talk about our
aviation. Yeah,
right now.
yeah, but I'm just giving you an example of the level of lawlessness that is abound everywhere, and nobody seems to be interested in lifting a finger and stopping the nonsense. Yeah, that's what's going on.
So how do we ensure that our aviation sector is safe?
Deterrence is once any individual that is tempted to do the wrong thing knows that he or she will certainly, I repeat the word, certainly be punished, be reined in and punished. He will see he will die a natural death. If we had time, I would have shared an experience of a young man driving in Nigeria and obtaining a driving license without necessarily getting the appropriate training, and then the young man finds himself in the United States of America and went to seek to get a license.
Okay.
I took the examination 3 times before I passed, and yet I have driven in Nigeria for over 15 years.
Thank you very much. Now, Michael, to tell us, I know with what you've said so far, are there gaps in the current regulatory framework that you think needs urgent attention for some of these behaviors, to be nipped in the bud?
Yes, I feel so. There are no perfect regulations anywhere in the world. Regulations, the existence of regulations in themselves is because the industry knows that no matter how near perfect your laws are, there will come moments when people will attempt or actually break laws. That's why regulations exist in the first place. The Nigeria Consumer Protection Regulations Part 19, for instance, is the very best, most solid in all of Africa. But every day we are seeking to compete at global level and not just continental. Last year, for instance, and I think it's important, first of all, that we keep this conversation within our purview. This is aviation we are discussing here, what I was told. Last year, the NCAA achieved the highest volume of refunds in the history of civil aviation in Nigeria, the highest volume of passenger compensation. They carried out the highest volume of stakeholder engagement. We are peeling back the layers one step after the other because this industry took decades, a very, very long time to get where it was, where we met it. And we must be objective by acknowledging the positive changes that have come to that are obvious in the industry. For the first time in the history of Nigeria civil aviation, airlines have been sanctioned, both domestic and international, for consumer protection related infractions. These are major steps that are being taken. The airlines themselves in various platforms have.
Thank you very much, Michael. Just have to go now. Thank you very much. That was Michael Achimogu, Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protections, NCAA. Thank you so much for coming on the program. And also, we had Godi Ike, expert in the aviation industry, a researcher, aviation researcher, and a publisher. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
And thank you for being part of the program. I'm Ikeria Clinton. Have a wonderful weekend.